There is a moment every single morning that millions of people over 60 dread. That first second when you try to move, and your body simply refuses. Your hands won't close. Your knees feel locked. Your hips ache before you have even put your feet on the floor. And somewhere along the way, you accepted that this is just what mornings are now. I need you to hear something clearly before we go any further. That acceptance is costing you more than you realize, and it is based on an incomplete understanding of what is actually happening inside your joints while you sleep. My name is Dr. Darius Coleman. I am a senior healthcare specialist, and in my years of practice working with adults over 55, the single most common thing I hear from patients is some version of the same sentence. My doctor told me this is just part of getting older, and I understand why physicians say that. The structural changes in aging joints are real. But that explanation stops exactly where it should start. Because what drives that morning misery is not just the aging of your joints. It is a specific inflammatory cycle that runs every single night. And it is one that your daily habits are either feeding or interrupting. Most people are feeding it without knowing it. Pause. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, I am going to give you a 5-step morning protocol in the specific order that matters, that Dr. Darius Coleman has been refining with patients for years. The changes can begin within days, not months, days. Before we get to the protocol, I want to ask you something I genuinely want to know. What does that first hour of your morning currently look like? Do you push through the stiffness and try to move as quickly as possible? Or do you lie still and wait for it to pass? Drop your answer in the comments right now, because those two responses actually have very different effects on your joints. And the answer changes what matters most for you in this video. Here is what is happening inside your joints every night, and why the morning is when the damage either compounds or begins to reverse. Your joints are not mechanical hinges. They are living structures surrounded by a lining called the synovial membrane, which produces synovial fluid, a thick, nutrient-rich liquid that lubricates cartilage, feeds the joint tissue, and clears out cellular waste. When you are young and healthy, this fluid circulates continuously. Cartilage stays plump and cushioned. The system refreshes itself efficiently. But after 60, two things change. The synovial fluid becomes thinner and less nutritious, and your immune system, which naturally intensifies certain inflammatory processes during deep sleep, floods your joints with pro-inflammatory compounds during the exact hours when you are completely still and that fluid is not circulating. Pause. By the time your alarm sounds, your joints have been marinating in concentrated inflammation for 6 to 8 hours. The synovial fluid has pooled rather than circulated. Waste products have accumulated in the joint capsule. And then the first movements of your day, gripping the covers, swinging your legs over the side of the bed, standing up, are happening against maximum inflammatory resistance. This is not a mystery. This is a measurable biological process. And the reason it gets worse over time is that when this cycle runs uncorrected day after day, your immune system begins to treat that elevated inflammatory state as the baseline. It stops trying to resolve it. The morning misery becomes, as far as your body is concerned, normal. What most people are never told is that 4 specific daily habits are quietly feeding that overnight inflammatory cycle. And removing them is the fastest lever available to change how your mornings feel. The first habit feeding your morning stiffness is your evening eating window. What you eat in the 3 hours before bed has a direct effect on joint inflammation when you wake up. Processed carbohydrates, sugary snacks, and refined foods eaten in the evening cause a blood sugar spike at exactly the moment your body is entering its overnight inflammatory cycle. That spike acts as an accelerant. The inflammation that would have been moderate becomes intense. Most people have never connected their bedtime snack to their 7 a.m. joint pain. But in Dr. Coleman's clinical experience, adjusting the evening eating window alone produces noticeable morning improvement within 5 to 7 days for the majority of patients. The second habit is starting the morning with coffee before water. Coffee on an empty stomach triggers a cortisol spike. Cortisol in moderate amounts is anti-inflammatory, but a sharp morning spike before the body has rehydrated and before any anti-inflammatory compounds have entered the system can actually amplify the joint inflammation that peaked overnight. The sequence of what you consume in the first 30 minutes of waking matters more than almost anything else in this protocol. The third habit is going from prolonged evening stillness directly to bed. If you spend 2 to 3 hours sitting in the same position watching television and then go straight to sleep, your joints enter the night already stiff, already pooled, already static. The overnight inflammatory accumulation starts from a worse baseline and builds from there. The fourth habit, and this one surprises almost every patient who hears it, is lying completely still in bed after waking, waiting for the stiffness to pass on its own. That stillness does not allow recovery. It extends the inflammatory window. The synovial fluid cannot circulate until you begin moving it. And the way you initiate that movement determines whether the first minutes of your day begin reducing inflammation or extending it. Beverly Hartman, a 69-year-old retired speech therapist from Omaha, Nebraska, had been waking up every morning for 4 years with hands so stiff she could not open a jar or button her shirt without a 20-minute warm-up. She had tried anti-inflammatory medications, wrist splints, and 2 different supplement protocols recommended by her rheumatologist. Nothing produced lasting change. When Dr. Coleman reviewed her evening and morning habits, every single one of the 4 feeding patterns was present. She was eating crackers and fruit at 9 p.m. Drinking coffee immediately upon waking, sitting motionless for 3 hours before bed, and lying still every morning waiting for the stiffness to resolve. Within 9 days of shifting those 4 habits alongside the morning protocol, her morning stiffness window had shortened from over 90 minutes to under 30. I had been doing everything my doctors told me and still suffering every morning. It turned out the problem was 4 things nobody had ever mentioned. Now, what I am about to give you next is where most people make a mistake that cancels out everything else they do right. The protocol works when the steps are done in the correct order. Change the sequence and you change the result. Do not skip ahead. Here is the 5-step morning protocol from Dr. Darius Coleman, in the exact order that produces results. Step 1 happens before you get out of bed. When you wake up, do not reach for your phone. Do not swing your legs over the side immediately. Spend 3 minutes doing gentle joint mobilization while you are still lying flat. Ankle circles, 10 rotations each direction. Slow knee pulls toward your chest, 1 at a time. Wrist circles, shoulder rolls, slow neck rotations. You are beginning to pump synovial fluid through your joints before they are asked to bear your full body weight. Think of this the way you would think of warming up a car engine on a cold morning. You do not put it in gear and accelerate immediately. 3 minutes lying flat, moving every major joint group slowly and deliberately. This single step, done consistently before standing, is the most impactful change in the entire protocol. Pause. Step 2 is hydration before anything else. 16 ounces of warm water with the juice of half a lemon. Consumed before coffee, before food, before anything else. Synovial fluid is water-based. After 6 to 8 hours of sleep, you are mildly dehydrated and your joint fluid has literally thinned. Cold water causes mild constriction in blood vessels serving the joints. Warm water does the opposite. It opens circulation at exactly the moment your joints need it. The lemon provides vitamin C and bioflavonoids that support collagen production in cartilage. This takes 90 seconds and costs nothing. Step 3 is the anti-inflammatory morning tea. Here is the exact preparation. Slice 1 inch of fresh ginger root thin. Add 1 inch of fresh turmeric root, or 1 teaspoon of high-quality turmeric powder if fresh is unavailable. Add 2 cups of filtered water and bring to a gentle simmer. Not a rolling boil, a gentle simmer. Let it go for 10 full minutes. The extraction time is not optional. You are pulling the active curcumin and gingerol compounds out of the roots, and that process requires both heat and time. After 10 minutes, remove from heat, add a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and let everything steep for 5 more minutes. The piperine in black pepper increases your body's absorption of curcumin from the turmeric by up to 2,000%. Without it, most of the anti-inflammatory benefit passes through your system unused. Strain it. Add a small amount of raw honey if desired, and drink it slowly. One note from Dr. Coleman. If you are on blood thinners or have a scheduled procedure, check with your physician before adding ginger and turmeric regularly, as both have mild blood thinning properties. Step 4 is 5 minutes of low-load movement, not a workout, not high-intensity exercise, which can actually spike inflammatory markers in joints that are not ready for it. 5 minutes of slow, deliberate, controlled range of motion movement through 5 joint groups: shoulders, hips, knees, wrists, and ankles. 60 seconds each, never pushing into pain. Simply exploring the range that is available to you that morning and gently expanding it. This is what moves the synovial fluid through the joint cartilage, delivers the nutrients the cartilage has been waiting for overnight, and begins clearing the waste products that accumulated during sleep. 5 minutes done consistently every morning produces measurable changes in joint function over weeks that no medication fully replicates. Step 5 takes place the night before. And this is the step most people overlook because it does not feel like a morning intervention. 30 minutes before bed, stop eating. Finish any food consumption. Take 10 minutes for slow movement around your home. A short walk, gentle stretching, anything that keeps your joints from locking into a static position before sleep. Drink 8 ounces of warm water and spend 5 minutes doing the same gentle joint circles you do in the morning. You are ensuring that your joints begin the night with better fluid distribution, better circulation, and less stagnation. The overnight inflammatory cycle will still run, but it will run from a better starting point. Dr. Coleman consistently finds this evening step produces the fastest visible impact on the following morning of any single change in the protocol. Walter Ibanez, a 74-year-old retired civil engineer from San Antonio, Texas, was the kind of man who needed a logical explanation before he would change anything. He told Dr. Coleman he had tried 4 different protocols over the years and abandoned every one of them because he saw no measurable difference. He agreed to follow the 5 steps in the exact sequence for 21 days and track his morning stiffness on a scale of 1 to 10 before getting out of bed each day. On day 1, his score was 8. By day 7, it was 6. By day 14, it was 4. On day 21, he came in with a handwritten chart and told Dr. Coleman his average had dropped from 7.8 to 3.9 over 3 weeks. I needed to see the numbers. The numbers showed up. I have been an engineer for 40 years. I know the difference between a real result and a placebo. The last thing Dr. Coleman wants you to understand is this. The changes that happen in your joints over years of chronic morning inflammation do not reverse overnight. He will not tell you this takes 3 days, because for most people it takes 3 to 6 weeks of consistent application before the full benefit is felt. But the window of severe morning stiffness, that period where you feel completely locked, can begin shortening within the first week for the majority of people who apply this protocol correctly and in sequence. Here is your 21-day challenge. Tomorrow morning, begin with step 1. 3 minutes of joint mobilization before you stand up. Add 1 step per day so that by day 5 you are running the full protocol naturally without it feeling like an overhaul. Every morning before you get out of bed, give your stiffness a number from 1 to 10 and write it down. After 21 days, look at those numbers. The trend will keep you going better than any motivation talk ever could. If you know someone who starts every morning dreading the moment they have to move, someone who has been told there is nothing to be done and has started to believe it, send them this video. That is exactly who Dr. Darius Coleman made this for. Your joints do not have to define the first 2 hours of your day. Subscribe, and Dr. Coleman will keep showing you what is actually possible.